Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carmen. Welcome. Hey guys, so this is going to be my second video on who is going to be the next president of the United States and win the US 2024 presidential election. Okay, so if you haven't seen the first video, go back and watch that video as well. And numerology reveals who will be the next president of the United States. That video and that prediction was made back in the middle of September, over a month ago, okay? So have my predictions changed since then? We're gonna talk about that today in this video, since this election is all everyone can talk about right now, and this is what you guys want to hear about. So we're going to talk about it really quickly. Again, if you want more details, make sure to check out my first video, and I'll link that video below. And I wanted to mention again that I am completely neutral towards both of these candidates. I don't have negative feelings towards either of them. And I'm strictly going to be just reading the numbers for what they are. So whatever I tell you, it's just based on the numbers, not about who I think should win, okay? So the first thing we need to look at when we're predicting things is going to be the pinnacles, because the pinnacles are like the seasons of your life, and that's spring, summer, fall, and winter, and the energy that is happening in that season, right? And this is like a 9-year period that you go through, and the energies of that season can be pretty intense, and they kind of tell a story about what you're going to be experiencing for the next 9 years. So that is going to be the most important energy, the most important overarching energy that we are going to be looking at first to determine who is going to win and what exactly is going to happen. Okay, so as you can see, in 1997, Donald Trump entered his last pinnacle, the last pinnacle of his life that he will continue on in for the rest of his life, because once you get to the last pinnacle, it just keeps repeating itself over and over again. And as you can see, it's a number 8. Okay, 8 in numerology is the number of power and abundance, and it's the number of wealth and manifestation. If you look at number 8, it's the infinity sign, right? What is the infinity sign? It represents infinite power that keeps going and going, okay? So this is a very powerful energy, and it explains why he was elected back in 2016, because as you can see, he was in his 8th pinnacle in 2016. It's one of the reasons Kamala Harris was elected as a vice president back in 2020, because as you can see, she was experiencing an 8 essence at that time. And that 8 essence continued on into the following year in 2021 when she was inaugurated as the vice president, okay? So very powerful years for her, 2020 and 2021. And the essence is how you experience the energy of a year from the inside out, okay? How are you feeling from the inside? She was feeling very powerful from the inside around that time. And so let's take a look at what pinnacle or season of her life Kamala Harris is currently in. She's currently in a 3 pinnacle or 3 season. Okay, in 2014, she entered a 3 pinnacle, and she will continue on in the 3 pinnacle for the rest of her life. Now, the 3 energy is a very victorious energy as well. Okay, it's a very happy energy. 3 is the number of joy, and it's also the number of self-expression. So when we're in the 3 pinnacle, we are often thrown into positions in which we have to express ourselves. We have to either do public speaking, or we have to express ourselves in some other form, like writing, starting a YouTube channel, any form of self-expression, but this can definitely include public speaking. As I mentioned, it's also the number of joy. On one end of the spectrum, it's complete joy, but then on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's complete depression and despair. So that's the problem with the 3 pinnacle, is you can have extreme, profound happiness and joyous moments in your life, but you can also have the complete opposite, which is like the most devastating, depressing events ever happen to you during the 3 pinnacle, and it can go either way. It can be a good energy to get elected in because it can be a very victorious, joyful energy, but it can also be an energy to lose an election in as well, because of the opposite end of the 3 being complete depression and despair. Okay, it can go either way. The 8th pinnacle or season of his life that Donald Trump is in is a better number to get elected in than the 3. Okay, and that's because 8 is the number of power and manifestation in numerology. And out of all the numbers, if you want to get elected, this is the best number to be in, because like I said, it's the number of power. Don't get me wrong, the 3 can be a great energy to get elected in too, but it can go either way with the 3. Whereas the 8 is always going to be a much more powerful energy. But we have to take a look at the other numbers going on as well. You have to take a look at the personal year number and the essence number within the pinnacle as well, because those help to determine at what point within the pinnacle you are in, or what point within the season are you currently in. And if you take a look in 2016, Trump was in the 2nd year of one of his 8 pinnacles. And he was having a 1 essence in 2016. 1 is another really good number to get elected in, because 1 is the number of coming in first place, right? Being number 1, being first. So he was experiencing that, being number 1, coming in first place from the inside in 2016. Then in 2020, no longer in the 1 essence, now in the 3 essence. And as I said before, the 3 can go either way, right? It can go either way, with either victory or great despair. And 2020 was the year that things didn't work out for him. So cut to 2024, the 1 pops up again. Okay, now he's having a 1 year, a 1 personal year. And the personal year is basically the number within the pinnacle. So what that indicates is he is having the first year, the very first year of another 8 pinnacle, right? Another one of his 8 pinnacles. Personal year is all that energy hitting you from the outside. What's coming at you, basically. And 1 is the energy of being on top, coming in first place, being number 1. Okay, what about Kamala Harris? What is her personal year that she's currently having in her 3 pinnacle? And as you can see, she's having a master number 11 year. Master number 11 is all about illumination, being thrown in the spotlight, right? And that has definitely happened to her this year. The spotlight has been all on her this year. But the 11 is a master number, so it can be a number of great achievement, but it can also be a number of great and extreme challenges too. And I do think that the reason she was thrown into the spotlight and suddenly became the nominee out of nowhere is because she's having a master 11 year. Okay, there can be some really big events that happen during master numbers, and that definitely can be one of them, where suddenly you just become the nominee, right? But the question is it enough to get her elected? Because like I said, with the master numbers, it can go either way, where you have great achievements or you can have extreme challenges. Okay, watch my videos about Master 11 if you don't believe me. And you know, people with the 11 energy, Life Path 11, go ahead and comment below and let everybody know, right? Because you guys know best that this can be a very challenging energy, right? Nobody knows it better than you guys, but but the question is the Master 11 enough to get her elected? And because it was definitely enough to get her to become the nominee, right? But is it enough to get her elected? So we have to look at the other numbers surrounding the 11 to see exactly if that's the case, because the 11 can go either way. Okay, and this is an 11 year within a 3 pinnacle. And like the 11, as I had mentioned, the 3 can go either way. It can go either way. But what's right next to the 11 year is a 7 essence. Okay, remember, the essence is how you feel from the inside during that year. And unlike in 2020, when she was having an 8 essence, which is the number of power, in 2024, she moves into a 7 essence. And she moves into that essence on her birthday, October 20th. Because it's on your birthday when you move into the new essence of that year. So she moves into a 7 on October 20th. And the 7 is quite the opposite of 8. It's a very introspective, contemplative energy, not concerned with power, not concerned with status, When you're in the 8 energy, your status improves and increases. The 7 energy is not concerned with status. It has no interest in that. It's more about the inward journey. And it's often like when you have a 7 essence, you often feel like you're retreating. You're having to retreat. And this 7 essence continues on into the next year too, in 2025. She's going to be in a 7 essence again. And so this is going to continue on, and that tells us a lot about what's going to happen next year too. And this is quite the opposite of the energy that she experienced in 2020 and 2021 when she was having an 8 essence and feeling, an increase in status and power from the inside. The 11 year is already a very fickle energy. It can go either way. And it's inside of a 3 pentacle, which is another fickle energy. Because of this, her 11 personal year would need to be next to a more powerful, decisive energy, such as a 1 or an 8 essence, in order for her to win the election. Or at least the following year, in 2025, you would want to see a more powerful, decisive energy. But that's not the case. The 7 continues, and she's having a 3 year next year. And this is actually the same combination. The 7 and 3 is the same combination that Trump had in 2021 after he had to leave office. And I don't have it here on the chart, but in 2021, Trump was having a 7 personal year and a 3 essence. So similar energy to 2025 for Kamala Harris. Okay, now Donald Trump is having a 1 year in 2024. And 2024 is basically the same combination that he had in 2016, 1 and 2. Except now he's having a 1 year instead of a 1 essence. So he's experiencing the 1 energy from the outside coming at him. But it's still the energy of coming in first place, being on top. It's also his first year of another 8 pentacle. So starting a brand new cycle of power, starting this year. Another thing I wanted to mention is that Kamala currently has a lot of odd numbers around her. Nothing stable, nothing grounding around her energy. It's all odd numbers, as you can see. The 3 is an odd number, the 3 pentacle, the 11 personal year, the 7 essence, and all the, and then what's coming up next year in 2025, it's all odd numbers. And the odd numbers are not as grounded and they're not as stable as the even numbers are. And she had some even numbers in 2020 and 2021 with all those 8s. But that's not the case for her in 2024 and 2025. Okay? So this is not good news for Kamala Harris. And I know this is a hard pill to swallow for some of the people watching this. But I cannot see her being elected with these numbers. And my prediction has not changed from my last video that I made in mid-September. I still don't see any change. I don't see her being elected with these numbers. Her numbers just are not strong enough. And I know, like I said, I know that's a hard pill to swallow, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody, okay? But I have to read the numbers for what they are and be as completely as objective as possible. Even if you look at the personal day number of these candidates on November 5th, which is the day of election, Trump is having an 8 personal day and Kamala is having a 9 personal day. So he's having a day of power and an increase in status on that day. While for her, since 9 is considered the last number in numerology, she's having a day of endings and things coming to an end for her on that day. And anyone who wants to can run these numbers for themselves and see for themselves that these are the numbers that come up for these candidates. Okay? And so in terms of Kamala Harris's Master 11 year, yes, I think it was enough to get her to become the nominee, and maybe even it could be enough to get her into a position where she becomes the president if Joe Biden steps down early. I mean, that's still a possibility. It could be enough for that, right? But it's just not enough to get her elected and for it to actually last and for her to be the president for the next 4 years. So Trump is going to win this one, okay? And I do think that there's going to be a lot of violence that happens as a result of that. You know, in my yearly predictions for the year 2024, I stated that this is a 44-8 year. And so we can see a lot of restructuring and rebuilding around structures of power and finances and stuff. And I said that there would be a lot of chaos that happened in 2024, where potentially people would be rioting on the streets and there would be upheaval and unrest. And I mentioned that in that video. And I do think that this could lead to that, okay? Him being elected could lead to that. There's some people that don't want to accept it and they are rioting in the streets. And you could see all kinds of unrest and upheaval happening where they are trying to throw him into prison or trying to disqualify him in some sort of way, find a way to disqualify the election. And this causes more unrest and rioting and upheaval as a result. So be prepared for November, December, and January. Okay, do whatever you need to do to take the necessary steps to prepare yourself and your family. Okay, getting extra supplies, extra food, but just be prepared for the months that are to come. And in my prior video, I had mentioned civil war, and I'm not saying that this is going to lead to a civil war. Definitely not saying that. It is a possibility, okay? And I do think at some point in time there will be a civil war within the country, but I'm not saying that this is going to lead to that, okay? I'm just saying it's a possibility. Another thing I wanted to mention too is that Trump has a very sensitive year coming up in 2025. He has a very sensitive energies coming up with the double twos. 2 is a number of partnership collaborations, teaming up, so this could be like partnerships and, you know, making deals and stuff. But 2 is a very sensitive energy too, so this could be a very sensitive time for him too, where there's a lot of sensitive events that could happen. So let's pray for the safety of both of these candidates, Kamala and Donald Trump. Let's pray for the safety of both of them, because we want them both to be safe and protected, and we don't want anything bad to happen to either of them. And we want the American people to stay safe too during these chaotic times. So I'm going to ask you again to pray for the safety of the American people as well as for these candidates. So let me know in the comments below if this resonated with you and who you want to win the 2024 election. Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit the like button and share it with other people, because it really helps to get this information out there when you do that. And we want to get this information out there to as many people as possible. And I do spend a lot of time on these videos for you guys, so thank you so much for all of your support. And I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. If you want to get a personal reading with me, you can head on over to my website, StarsAlignWithCarmen.com. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.